Hercules gets a big workout with you. So at least he'll be a fit dog. Yeah,
Yeah. He's good.
yeah,
He's good.
yeah. So
So.
we going into the details of intent and perception and what we believe happens, perception versus reality. So I was just relating the story I was telling you yesterday about the BMN that I knew, and
Mm,
how they would be all friendly and people would kind of respond friendly, and they just believed that everybody was buying what they were selling and that this wasn't the reality. I said,
yeah.
now you can. Our discussion was on the perception of this. How do you know for yourself if what you think is believing? You need to have some kind of a reality check, and in their case, they never looked at other people acting according to what he thinks their level of interaction and connectivity is, and they weren't. There was a clear discrepancy there, so he never put two and two together that they weren't necessarily buying that what he was selling. They were just being polite.
Mm,
So we have to check our perceptions with actuality in some way, with actions, with results, consequences,
mm-hmm.
value. So
Yeah. That's for sure.
it's tricky. It's tricky with perceptions because if you are delusional, how do you know you're delusional? It's a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah.
We can only believe we aren't.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I guess it's how much it's working for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're delusional and things are working really well and you got no problems and no stresses, and then okay, good. But if you got a lot of trouble in your life, then you got to maybe relook at the way you're perceiving reality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Donna, yeah,
Sure.
it's a fascinating topic. You really make me think a bit more about it now. So
It relates to intents as well. And I was just curious when I came on this morning to see which your combined intents with Beena were going to be.
oh, we never got to making that list.
No, we didn't. Did we?
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Beena and I are on a project to redo our intents, and so he was saying, at least Donna was hoping you'd be a part of that too. So, but we'll get onto it. We'll get onto it. So, yeah. There's so much though to think about now that, like Beena said, we just have to let it churn a little bit here and sit, and then we'll come back to it. Yeah. No, lots involved. Lots involved. All right. Well, hey, it's 6 o'clock, so it's Sue time. So, all right, brilliant. Where are we at, Sue? Where were we yesterday? I don't remember.
I'm going to head out and go to work. Sue's good to
Right,
see you.
right. Oh, it was brilliant you being here, Donna.
Yeah, Donna. Have a good day.
Yeah,
Thank
brilliant.
you.
Well, Donna played a bit of hooky, sort of. I mean, she said she's going to be late, but still.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Hey, she's allowed.
Yes. Fantastic,
Have a
Donna.
good day.
Fantastic. Oh, it's great having you here. It's brilliant. Yes. Bye-bye, Donna. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later. Yes? Oh. Let's just drops off. She doesn't say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
That's how she does. She just goes. It's too fun. Brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, we're on module 10, session 4. Wow, that 14. I finished 14 yesterday and I'm into 15 or something. But
yes,
wow,
good.
That was a doozer there.
Oh, good.
These are like mine, but the thing is so short, but the tasks are like,
it doesn't matter how long the session is.
Yeah, they're just mind thinker. They really get your mind going. I'm like,
yes, I'm enjoying doing them, and it's that's why I only do a little each day, because to actually physically make the slides. This doesn't take that long. Okay, some of the designs a little bit, but still not. But the tasks, this takes a while.
Yeah. You got some great questions. That's for damn sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sitting on some there that I've done. I've got a module ready to go, but I have to do the task. So we got involved with Donna, so I didn't get a chance to do them yet. But as soon as we're done, we'll do them. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're fun. So I'm keen to get it all done, because I want to get other stuff ready. So I have some stuff ready. So we are ahead, Sue. We are ahead.
Yeah.
So, but
what is there? 20? How many chapters? Or
21. 21. Yeah. So 21.
We're on the home stretch for sure.
Yeah. I'm on 18 now. So I've done 18. Just got to do the tasks for 18, the exercises for 18. Then I got 3 more. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. All righty. Module 10, session 4, crappy conscience.
Oh, big point.
Yeah. Bullshitters will virtually do anything to manipulate and force a public perception of agreement in an attempt to make their guilty conscience identity less intense. This is a true sense of self-bullshit, I said, to their own conscience, but it is acceptable to them because of their incredibly hollow self. Not a lick of real independence, growth, or learning in them.
Why?
They just go for the shoulds or the cool or the in vogue things just for approval and attention ratings for themselves.
Yeah.
That is their main focus, as long as everyone can think that everything they think, say, and do is their own. You can think of them as ethical chameleons. I like that phrase you picked there, of ethical chameleons of conscience. So they only do what works for them. Not what is right or ethical is ever considered.
Yeah.
Even when there is so little to agree on, they manufacture that to be enough, and it's okay in their minds, of course. Quote, was overriding conscience is a slow suicide of self. Conscience cannot be absolved with bullshit. True.
No.
It does not sound like they have any conscience, but they do. The problem is that it is a conscience based on lies. Confusion is the deception that covers up their true conscience so that they are doing wrong, but do it anyway. That is what makes them so wrong.
Yeah.
Their indulgences allows them to transgress. To them, if they give up their indulgences, they are losers, so therefore they are imprisoned by them. This self-made imprisonment allows them to go against themselves so they can keep misery, hopelessness, and unhappiness alive inside themselves. The only happiness they know is the happiness of BS. So the tasks are, when looking for agreement to their transgressions, lies, inner BS, etc., what does this say about the conscience of the BSer and the BMN? For me, they are so adept at BS that they even BS their own conscience, plain and simple. We have to unlearn fitting in, the hollow self, the lack of growth and learning, invite in the real conscience, self-truth, self-respect, value, integrity, and independence of being and thinking. Next question. Do they really have conscience, or are they merely making every effort to cover themselves? For me,
Sorry, say that one again, please.
This question? Do they actually have consciences, or are they merely making every effort to cover themselves?
That's a good point. That's a good question. Yes.
Yeah. For me, you may not think that they don't even have a conscience, but they do.
Yeah.
It's just that it is just based on lies. That's all.
Yeah. And they transgress and go against their conscience. But the fact that they try and cover it up proves that they have it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we need to unlearn lies, deceit, inappropriate conscience, lack of ethics and morals, invite in awareness, morals, ethics, integrity, self-honesty, independence of being, understanding, awareness, knowledge, and learning. Hold on. The fan was getting too much. Okay.
The sand?
The fan.
Oh, the fan.
I have a fan blowing on me, and it was
it dehydrates us, the fan. So.
Yeah. How does choosing to believe fit into this? For me, if you choose to believe the bullshit because you are too lazy to check facts or afraid to confront them through questioning, then you are part of the enabling the disease to grow and spread.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we unlearn fear of confrontation, laziness, confusion, invite in awareness, clarity, appropriate confrontation, appropriate intolerance, self-truth, values, ethics, integrity, knowledge, learning, proof, and testing.
Yeah, yeah. Testing, especially
Yeah.
that testing. That's a
Yeah.
huge deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating with their conscience. So, also, when you see people who don't try and cover up their transgressions, who don't bother, who just kind of open about it, oh, be very careful. They're
Yeah.
dangerous people.
Yeah.
They are dangerous. They are capable of anything, and they have no remorse, no guilt, no nothing. They just do whatever. And this is people who don't actually feel bad about transgressing against their consciences. They just do it, and they don't really have it as such. I guess they might have it, but they don't care, and that's dangerous. That's very dangerous. So
Yeah.
truly
Yeah.
dangerous people. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have a good story down the road on one of the modules about.
Brilliant. Exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, this thing of their conscience, the fact that they make such an effort to cover it up, and then they are conflicted. It's a
Yeah.
sad way to live, straightforward.
Yeah. How do beliefs we subscribe to and hang on to affect our behaviors? For me, they become part of us because those beliefs get a bit ingrained. The problem lies if they are untrue, or they really are not ours, or we have not tested and proved them to be true. That's the big problem if we don't own them.
Yeah, they're not
So,
tested and proven.
right. So unlearn unsubstantiated beliefs, conventionalism, lack of independent thinking and being. Invite in awareness, understanding, discernment, independence of being and thinking, testing and proving, self-truth, value, and integrity. In this context.
Is this answering that?
No, this is a new question.
Oh, okay, because I wanted to go back to that choosing to believe. There are many things that are useful to choose to believe. Well, for instance, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for instance, choosing to believe in an afterlife. That's very useful.
There you go.
Yeah. Whether it's true or not doesn't matter. It's a useful belief. It has value. It has practical value because you set yourself to prepare for it, and you don't live in despair. Okay, there might be a plus side to thinking there isn't. You maximize your life now, but if you know that you're choosing and you're consciously choosing, then you have to be aware that it's a choice, and therefore it might not be so. So you set yourself strategically to take care of it, whether it's true or not. But you choose to believe it because, well, it gives you benefit and it's a nice thought. But it's a very strategic thing that we can choose to believe and do so deliberately and consciously, and it's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, even like choosing to believe you can do something when you're not quite sure you can.
It's necessary.
But if you believe you can do it. And again, if you can't, it's okay. You know what I mean? But again, you can have your own strategy for that.
Exactly. We have to choose at some level, to believe things. And it's very important, and to know that we can do this consciously and deliberately is very, very, very important. So be aware that when we do choose, to not get stuck in that choice as an absolute.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Anything can change. That's the fluid and the flexibility.
Right. And the BSs, they choose to believe this fantasy about themselves, but they get stuck in it.
Right. That's the problem. Yeah.
It's a big problem, right?
In this context, consider and share how some of your beliefs, positive or not, affect your behaviors in both good and not so good ways. For me, again, I believe that I am fair to everyone. This is not true because it has not been 100% fact checked, but I am sure judgments and other issues play into my fairness from person to person. In my distorted belief, I am fair, or I want to be fair, but it's not 100% true. So I really can't own it. Even if I if I want to believe I am being fair, I may not be. This surely makes me take a long journey inside myself to check my own fairness of myself. Yeah, which I am
Mm,
which I am not even fair to myself. So I am either too hard on myself or I am too easy on myself and let things slide at times. So I need to straighten that out, that fairness within me, before I can apply or evaluate others with it. So I need to unlearn judgment, favoritism, unsubstantiated beliefs, and invite in awareness, self-testing, improving, honesty, fairness, self-value, respect, integrity, independence of being, and thinking, and self-truth. You
mm,
know,
mm.
but yeah, you know, it really comes down for me to that part of that whole integrity component there. If you don't, that's and your morals and ethics, of course, if you don't
Mm.
have that foundation set, really set,
Yeah.
I see that's where you can come off the rails very, very quickly.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing how crucial that is?
Yeah.
It's astonishing. It's
Yeah.
astonishing.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, I always thought that I had, you know, good values, morals, and integrity, but you know what? I'll be the first one to admit, you know, sometimes, look what I did with Rosemary. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was not being full of integrity, let alone being
Yeah.
impeccable at any level, you know, to not consider her or, you know, put her to the side. Yes, I understand what I chose to do, you know, through influence, but still that, you know, as hard as it is to say, you know, not so good integrity, morals, and ethics there, Sue Laurie. You know,
Yeah.
it just, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
makes
And
me,
Hmm.
but the bigger takeaway is go ahead, Beena, say it.
I was just feeling that what you are sharing, Sue, that you are thinking about your past action now.
yes, yes,
Okay. And yes, okay, we were, I think that this is what we say in this way of impeccability, that yes, I was impeccable according to my awareness at that time.
yeah,
It is not something that you need to think about, oh, I was not impeccable. Yes, you were impeccable according to that awareness. It is just about, it's a matter of awareness, that's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sometimes we are not conscious about, we do things and we think that okay, this is what is appropriate in this situation, and I think that still that yes, it was appropriate, because it was a defense mechanism also involved, because you were not able to, as I understand, you were not able to deal with the other Santa and Barbara, your
right,
cousins, so and you were influenced by that, so you did that what was appropriate for you at that time,
yeah.
Right.
just to be at peace with. So
Yeah, no,
I
you're right.
think it was
You're right.
impeccable.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was. It was something that I did do impeccably at the time, but you know, with new and more knowledge now, knowing that I have different tools, I have different things, and you know,
Yes,
I have a stronger foundation to stand on this time. You know, so it's a different time and a different.
Mm.
that's it. That's it. I feel like when we start eating with spoon and knife and fork the first time as a kid, we start learning, and okay, we hold that spoon and it just shove it in our, in our mouth. And but this is what we are doing our best. So you were doing your best. Okay, I was doing my best at that time according to my awareness, and now I'm skilled. I have more tools, so I'm more sophisticated in that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's it.
And the magic for me is when I look back to see that there's a difference. That's like, oh man,
Oh yes,
that
oh yes.
difference is very exciting, right? So
absolutely, absolutely. It's
yeah,
such a
yeah,
different
yeah.
feeling. I feel like there's all this crap that I was carrying around. It's just kind of unloaded, you know, and like whatever.
Yeah.
Again, and it's not in that arrogant way or
No,
egotistical way.
no,
Oh no.
It's
exactly,
not. It's,
exactly. No,
you know, you're really realizing that there are different kinds of people with all kinds of different
yeah,
personalities, and
right.
you have to be more conscious, conscious of that,
Yeah.
so that I can deal with them better. And these are the tools that I get to use now, so that's cool.
And it is a beautiful mechanism. When we look at ourselves in the past, what we were doing at that time, and how much we have already grown up, and how much we have learned, and how much we have got now, how much we are aware now, it means that we will not be the same in future also.
Correct.
So there is more to learn. We will be more sophisticated. We will be more aware, and this is so exciting and beautiful, and also humbling.
Yeah.
That yes,
yes.
though we are more, but still we have so much to learn.
I'm excited to see it, like in say a year or 6 months, where I am.
Yes.
That's the fun part, because this is a pattern of.
Yes.
It's all growth, but
exactly. And when we look back at the past, we just say, it is what it is. This is life.
That's right.
We nincompoops. At some point, we're going to look back at ourselves today, and we're going to say, oh, what were you doing, Sol, with that ponytail? Oh. Or whatever,
Bill used to have a ponytail.
Really? Sensei Bill had it. Didn't he have a top knot?
Nope. And he had it pulled back in the back here. It was only about this long or so.
Right. Interesting. Was that in his yuppie phase?
Not just, I think, more rebellion.
Oh, right. Against what? Bill is the establishment. What are you rebelling against? Interesting.
And then when his dad died, he cut it off.
Right. I think Bo would look cute with a little ponytail.
Oh, he was adorable. Yeah. He had, our wedding pictures. I'll have to show you one.
So next time we see Bill, we must greet him as Adorable Bill. I call him Adorable. Hello, Adorable. But he is very adorable. We love Bill.
He's cute.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
The next question is, take some of your simple but regular beliefs and work backwards to the root underlying beliefs and assess whether or not they are valid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That one really has me thinking.
And I don't know why this one came up. It was probably, if I look at the date, it was probably after the 10 Commandments. So for me, my behavior, or whatever it is, my belief is I'm a good Christian and I believe in God. I'm like, okay, whatever. That's what I was told to do.
That's perfect. That's a perfect one for this.
Yeah. I was raised by Christians who had me baptized and confirmed. I went to confirmation class. After that, I never attended church or on any regular basis, except if I was forced by the family on holidays. I never was actually given a choice to be a good Christian and believe in God. It was something that was just expected of me.
Yeah.
I am a good person and I do believe in a higher power, something that is much bigger than me, but to actually say I am a good Christian and I believe in God is questionable at some levels, comparatively speaking. I mean, really, I'm a good Christian. What is that? What is that based on?
Exactly. Who's to know? Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's it. I just want to say, who's to know?
Yeah, who's to know? So it's just unlearning comparison, the need to fit in, obligation, not having a choice, stealing others' beliefs to be your own. So I can invite in awareness, self-acceptance, independent thinking and being, owning my beliefs 100%, understanding, knowledge, the universe, and appropriate beliefs.
But if you were a good Christian, and we said, okay, Beena, you're going to just have to be Jesus for a little bit here. To play Jesus now. Say, all right, Jesus. Susan over here. Is there anything that Susan does that you wouldn't really approve of?
Oh, nothing.
I'll make her a good Christian. There you go.
She's being sued. And
what
also,
do you do that Jesus would disapprove of, Sue?
Kill somebody.
Not thinking of him all the time.
Not what you could do. What do you do in your daily life as Sue? What do you do, feel, be that Jesus would disapprove of?
Probably, maybe not being nice to Rosemary.
Now in your life now.
Oh, now nothing. Now,
Exactly. So you're a good Christian.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yes, I agree. When at that point in time with the thing with Rosemary, that was a bit unchristian. Yes, right, and that's why it bothered you. So you're a good Christian because it bothered your conscience.
Yeah.
That the fact that it was somewhat unchristian in the traditional sense of the word, and the fact that it bothers you proves that you were a good Christian even then. Okay, you were a little bit influenced by pressures, but nonetheless, okay, it's the way of the world. You still, you passed your test.
But what's interesting, Santa Barbara, Rosemary, they were all brought up very strict Catholic. So there they were every week, and this is what they do. I mean,
Fascinating.
that's
The hypocrisy, exactly. The hypocrisy is fascinating.
Yeah,
Hypocrisy
it is.
fascinating. So, again, when you look at your intent, it's a different thing, a very different thing,
Okay, I have a question for you, or for you, Sil, also.
Oh.
That do we, in our life, in general, in practical world and spiritual world, is there anything we do without having any intent?
What a lovely, fabulous question, Sue.
Is there anything we do without having any intent? I mean, even if I walk upstairs, I have an intent to go get something. If I brush my teeth, my intent is to have good oral hygiene. I'm trying to
Yes.
think of silly little things. So, no, I think everything has an intent.
Okay.
Even if
Conscious.
you're going to do something bad, or improper, there's still an intent behind it.
Oh, yeah.
So, what about the automatic reactions we have?
Good nuanced points here. Before
Isn't
you
that an
answer that one, sorry, Sue, let me just give my answer real quick. Sleep, when I fall asleep, I'm not meaning to fall asleep. I'm trying to stay awake, but no intent involved in that. It's
your body has a different intent.
I'm trying to stay awake, like with my matchsticks, but don't help. So maybe that's, but agree with Sue. Everything is life. To me, is synonymous with intent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you take God, the universe, Allah, all of them, energy, intent, this is it. So we are just a fragment of that. Every single thing is intent. This is it.
Okay. So we can be more precise in that. Okay, deliberate intent, conscious intent.
Oh, that's a whole different story. Now we're talking a different ball game. Yes.
Okay, sometimes it happens with me in the past, that when all the elders of the family, the big, everyone like grandfathers, and then they were sitting and they were discussing something really serious and very important also. And just in that, I was listening. I was not involved because I was, as a kid, I was just listening and observing, and suddenly I feel something and I saw something and I start laughing out loud. It was uncontrollable, and I was laughing and everybody was silent and looking at it.
Brilliant.
So it was not my intent to laugh at all. I was even want to show my presence there because it was so inappropriate that I was there. But suddenly I just saw someone, one of my father's grand uncle or someone, and I saw something and I started laughing. And they were like, so sometimes some reactions we have, which we don't have any deliberate intent about.
Yeah. Well, maybe your inner conscience had a deliberate intent because it was thought it was so damn funny,
But
you want it to be disruptive in some way.
Yeah.
No, but but I was my intent, my subconscious intent, was not aligned with my conscious intent.
Right.
Okay. And it happens mostly when when it comes to defense, when it comes to our protection, when it comes to our security and well-being. Sometimes it happens that like our eyes blinking. Okay, this is a mechanism. It happens, and your body catches everything. Oh, it is risky, and just close your eyes and shut and clench your jaw, and these type of mechanism and actions. This is same with when you feel insecure around
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
There are some reactions which you do without having any deliberate intent involved
That's
in
right.
that.
Mine is laughing. If I feel truly uncomfortable in certain, I will laugh. I will laugh.
Yes.
That's my out. That's my out. Yeah.
And it also when someone is just start confronting you and okay yelling and saying a lot of things and directly accusing of you of something, we go into a defensive position, though we are not responsible for anything. We don't have anything, but it's a defense mechanism because we know that our body know that yes, we are not able to communicate at the same level at the same point, so our body and mind have different reactions.
Yeah. I
I
think that's that
feel
subconscious
yes.
intent that just helps you. That helps you. Knows that that's your defense mechanism or something. Yeah. To keep it.
So this might be the case with
Yeah.
uh, Rosemary.
Yeah. It could be. Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, Beena.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good
Oh,
point.
oh, very
Could be.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, you
Oh,
have to hear this one.
oh,
I
what
almost
happened?
wrote it,
What
but I
happened?
said I'll tell you.
Oh yes.
On Monday,
Mm-hmm.
we went down late in the afternoon to my brother's house for a
Mm-hmm.
little picnic with some social distancing with just his couple of friends. And guess who was there? Jody,
Oh,
my sister-in-law's father, William.
brilliant.
Uh-huh,
Brilliant.
And,
uh-huh,
Brilliant.
uh-huh.
Brilliant.
and I
Exciting.
knew he was going to be there
Yeah.
because they were coming from the zoo to go. They
Mm-hmm.
all like animals, so they went to the zoo. So then we were going to have dinner. So I thought to myself, crap, I know he's going to come over, you know. But I said to myself, no, here you go, Sue.
There you go.
I set an intent that there was going to be no inappropriate comments from him, not
Yes.
one.
Oh,
Because I just said to myself, I'm gonna reposture myself. I'm gonna cue differently because do you know, I was with him for almost 3 hours, not one
Yes. Yes, Sue.
blessed.
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Wow, bro.
Yes. Sue power.
Oh,
Sue power. We love it. We love it.
And I
It's
even said to
amazing.
Bill on the way home, I said, isn't that interesting? He made a compliment, but it was to Bill and I. He said, when we were leaving, he said, wow, he said, you two take care of yourselves. You both look great. He said, keep looking great. Or so, the both that
oh.
he made, because Bill said, oh, that was interesting that he complimented the both of us. He says, and I think we
Yes.
both, because he was saying, I
Yes.
think we both
Yes.
do look
Yes.
good for our ages.
Yes,
We take care of
yes.
ourselves and
But
so
yeah,
forth.
yeah. Let me lay my theory on you real quick,
Yeah.
because it's one of those intuitive jump leaps. So and likely when I share it, you retroactively think about it, then you can see if it fits in or not, and we'll see. We'll see. Okay. So my from your comment and the whole read of the whole thing, what shifted was now William could react and perceived you, and what shifted for him was respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
is it. He
100%.
was heckling you before because he had no respect for you. Now he's got respect for you, and his compliment at the end for you and Bill was a way to communicate his respect. That's what I heard come through you
Yeah,
was respect.
yeah,
Yes?
absolutely.
Okay.
Self-respect.
Right.
Self-respect.
Right. But I mean,
Yeah.
he's respecting you.
Oh, yeah. But I
Yeah.
had to have my own
Correct.
self-respect
Correct.
check.
Correct.
Yeah.
But a lot of bullies will kind of push people that they don't respect. It bothers
Yeah.
them, it irritates them and annoys them. And in a
Mhm.
sense, it actually works from a universal point of view. It's an
Yeah.
amazing mechanism. It's an
Yeah.
amazing mechanism.
Interesting. Yeah. But I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God. I said, wait till I tell Still tomorrow. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Wow. Wow.
It was all good. The last question in this module
Mm.
or this session, go ahead.
As a model, this is a profound model. So I would absolutely recommend writing this out as a little story,
Okay.
just for yourself. No matter whether you post it or not, but to write out just what happened. The story you told us now, but just write it out in detail. The mood that you did, the mindset, the effect, how the thoughts, the doubts, the confirmation, the locking into it, the resolution, the resolve, all of that. Because as a blueprint for future, it's huge. And the
Good.
implications involved, particularly as we say now, the respect and self-respect is huge. So
Yeah.
you can use this as a template to set yourself. So, okay, should Barbara or Santa, you run into them at any point, which is, it could happen, right? You prepared. The same point. You can say, no, I'm going to be me, and that's it. I'm not going to be defensive. I'm not going to be justified. I'm not going to be fearful. I'm not going to be stressed. No, this is it. I'm going to be me, and I know who I am. I'm solid in who I am, and that's it.
Yeah. And it's interesting when you go in from that angle, everything is different because
Yes.
I just said, you know what, this isn't going to happen. I am who I am. That is not something I'm going to allow, and blah 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 blah. And so I had a completely different posture around
I
him.
am.
Even in the conversation, I mean, he was sitting right next to, you know what I mean? And we talked and talked and talked, but I also would, I think I was doing a little more cueing as far as the conversation and different things like that, so that he wasn't,
Wow.
oh, turn that off.
And look at the magic of it too.
Yeah. No, it made for pleasantness.
Oh yeah.
Instead of me being there going, oh, Jesus Christ, Bill, don't say anything. Bill's going to slam you in the face or something. You know what I mean? Bill just has no problem. I mean, he went up to him, when was it, last year or whatever, when he said that to me. He goes, oh, I'd like to take a stab at her one day. And right in front of Bill. I'd like to take a poke at her. Bill said. He said, Bill, he goes, I'm going to tell you right now. He said, you better show my wife some respect. He said, or I'll show you what respect is all about. I mean, and I didn't even know that he said that to him.
Wow.
But Bill is full of, morals, ethics, and again, always standing up for an underdog or anybody really, not just, well, I guess everybody get picked on is an underdog.
But look what Bill said. Your Bill said to William. He said, show us some respect.
Yeah. Oh,
that's the bottom issue.
That's right.
He didn't feel that you were worthy of respect.
Right. Correct. And that's when he said to me, that broke me down when we all started talking about this, was when he said, because I said, oh, wow, you don't say that about Jody's father. And he goes, I don't really care. Yeah. He said, and I said, oh, that'll make for, wobbly grounds with the family. But he goes, Sue, where is your self-respect? And he has never spoken to me like that. He said, where is your self-respect? Why do you giggle? And again, there's my laughter as that subconscious mechanism that Beena was just, I would just giggle. You know what I mean? I didn't really want to hear that. I didn't know how to react.
But now you do.
How to position myself. Yeah. Interesting.
So there's something else that you did relative to William. That's a huge deal. You didn't come in with an attitude that William is bad, William is wrong. It was just about you.
Right.
William is William. Exactly. And that's why I want you to write the story down, because you did things which weren't necessarily specifically consciously done, but by implication. So you just said, I'm being me. And you said, William, treat me the way I want to be treated. How you are, that's up to you. You didn't have nothing on him. You didn't put any energy or pressure toward him necessarily. It was all about you.
Right. Absolutely.
This is
absolutely.
magical.
That was a big difference. You're 100% right. Wow. I saw actually a different side of him, a moreness to him you know, instead of that fear, that tunneled vision that I chose for myself that was
Exactly.
very limiting, like, ah, crap, please don't say anything to me again,
Right.
especially if Bill's around or whatever.
Right.
And who
Right.
wants to live there? Who
Right.
wants to live there?
So when it comes to cueing, we can cue people to do things which are to them uh, um, 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 self-defeating or negative for themselves.
Hmm.
In other words, we can cause people to behave in ways which aren't beneficial to them.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So William is one of those.
Mhm.
You were cueing William to treat you with disrespect because you were walking around not respecting
Absolutely.
yourself. Yeah.
That's right.
Isn't
That's
that
right.
incredible?
Yeah. And on the
Unbelievable.
converse, you know, I cued him to respect me on
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah, exactly. Now, so all of these points, make notes for your story. The cueing, um, the lack of you having a perception of William in a certain way. I try not to use the words judgment, but in this case, it's appropriate. You had no judgments towards William.
Yeah,
You was
limited perception, limited
right,
perception.
right. Yeah, you weren't boxing him. You weren't, forcing him to a corner. You were
Mhm.
saying purely onto you. And then the other thing too is, um, I want to ask is, how are other people reacting to you?
No, I didn't notice any real difference in other people. I think I was more focused in on him.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
my
But if
attention
you,
was to him.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think about it, though, did
But the
anybody?
whole air was lighter. The whole air was lighter in
Okay.
the whole at the table of talking, you know.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So okay.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. That you had a very sober air, right? That's what you came in with, a very sober intent.
Was it sober?
Well, to be treated with respect is very sober, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yet, the gathering had a light. Your intent didn't affect the gathering.
Correct.
Hmm.
Correct.
Amazing.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Right.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
a
cool.
further point that comes out of this is how people can be completely different relative to our cueing, our insistence, our perception of them.
Mm-hmm.
You had a somewhat pleasant interaction with William.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing negative, nothing bad about it. You might not choose to specifically interact with him deliberately, but nonetheless, there was nothing wrong with it, right?
Right. Nope. Mm-mm. It was. I removed the fear
Yeah.
of that anticipation of something being wrongfully said completely out of the picture, and that's what gave it just that easygoing kind of let's have a conversation, let's all laugh and giggle and whatever, you know, um, about normal things, not inappropriate things. Yeah.
You were in charge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
going forward, you're in charge of Sue.
Absolutely. Always.
That's it.
That's okay. No. All
That's
right.
brilliant. That's brilliant.
So last question in that module is, if you'd like to keep a belief regardless of its validity, if you are getting positive benefits, what shift is this? What shifts if this is the case? What shifts if this is the case? For me, if I want to keep believing that I'm a good Christian and I believe in God, I must shift to be more self-honest and aware of my beliefs and work on truly owning it if that is what I am claiming. So unlearn substantiated beliefs, not owning things, uh, not owning things I call my own, inviting in tests, improving awareness, self-honesty, self-acceptance, truth, and appropriateness.
You're a good Christian with Bill, with William.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
In more sense than the usual. One of the things that Jesus taught was fluid reality. You can move those mountains over there, literally those mountains there. You can walk on the water. You can heal the sick. All the stuff. Every time he did a miracle, he made this big effort to tell his disciples and everybody else, you too can do this.
Mhm.
right? That was his. This was the most predominant teaching that he has of all. Very consistent. People don't see it. Actually, it's fascinating in Christians. They don't. They don't. When you mention it, oh yeah, but they don't realize it, right? So he's teaching fluid reality. If you can do all the stuff, miracles and stuff, that means reality isn't fixed and real. It's fluid. So you made your reality with William fluid. You
Mhm.
changed who he was relative to you.
Yeah.
Very Christian, in other words.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Change the reality. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Very cool. Very
yeah.
cool.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. Jesus will be very proud, right, Jesus?
Enrolled. I knew Jesus was a woman. I knew it. I
All
knew it.
right, all right, all right, all right. Well, God's a woman, and you know who God is, so you know.
Okay, about this intent, the magic is you set an intent about how the world will respond to you. So
Mhm.
it was not specific. Okay, what was his name? William. William is gonna behave like this, or okay, I don't want to even meet him, and all these things. It could be like this. You could set an intent like, okay, oh God, no matter how the circumstances are, I don't want to meet him. I don't want to even see him. You can do that, but you were like, wow, it is amazing. It is like really you want to see that, you want to be in that situation. So it means that you presented yourself that, and you
Right.
said, okay, now I want to be in that situation. But the world, okay, it was about William, but for me it is in general how the world will respond to me.
Yeah.
And you
Uh,
said that, and you
right.
were totally in charge of that, and it was deliberate. It
Yeah.
was not an accident.
Yeah.
How
Very.
cool is that?
It's
And
awesome.
how impeccable is that? That you were not into any negative kind of thing. Oh,
No.
William is do that. Okay. Oh God, just he would not be here. Okay, and all these things. Could be anything about him. But
Yeah.
no, you were so impeccable. You said, okay, now I'm going to do that, and okay, I'll be here, and things will be like this. Wow,
Yeah.
what a
It is.
magical event.
Yeah. It was very cool because in the past, knowing what I know now, but never took action to stand up for myself. And again, there was just those thinking thoughts always in my head, like, "Oh, you're going to stand up for yourself," and I never did, you know. But what was I going to say? In the past, part of an old Sue was to, if I knew somebody like that was going to be there, I would not go. I would avoid going. And
Mm.
I would lose because I would want to see my brother and his kids and whoever else was there, but because I couldn't deal with it, I didn't, again, have those tools. But now, knowing that I just set that intent, I mean, I could go to a party now and say, hey, nobody's going to be
Nice.
rude to me if there's people there I don't even know. I'm
Right,
going to set that intent,
right,
to let
right,
that be.
right. And it's the queuing is very powerful. But
Yeah.
here's the other thing that you did that is really magical. You set up this entire queuing without any arrogance, without any cockiness,
Right.
without any intent to
Yeah.
dominate or be hierarchical.
Absolutely.
No, it was done with a humility that wasn't timid.
Correct. Correct.
This is a very profound combination.
Yeah. Yeah.
Humility, which is not timid. This is a very big deal. Very big deal. So,
Okay, one more question about this. That well, you are mentioning queuing here. So was the queuing to William other people, or was the queuing to Sue?
what a question. What a beautiful question. Mm,
Hmm. Was the queuing?
mm, mm.
It was, maybe it was me queuing me.
All of it.
Yeah, I think it was me queuing me to so I could shift thing, and then he just responded differently. So I
Yes.
think I cued myself. Great question. I think I cued because I didn't control him. I just cued how
Yes.
I was posturing, how what I was talking about, how I was even sitting there, which I'm sure made a very big difference in how he
Yes. Yes.
responded.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so in terms of like Erica Jane would talk about when she was in IT, they have those packets and they have the little handshakes, and you got the protocols for acting, right? And in order for things to interact, they need to have the appropriate protocols. Like you can't plug in an Apple, it'll plug into a Samsung. That you have to, the reception must fit the plug, right? So when you changed your own personal queuing, he wasn't able to do that. It was just inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
weren't conducive to that. So he couldn't do it no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there is a queuing for you, but also queuing for him. It's both
Mm-hmm.
together. There's an interactivity, but mostly you weren't necessarily doing something to him. You were just changing how you are, and he just corresponded and fit appropriately.
Yeah.
Which you made allowance for him to do that. You didn't insist that William, as there's no way he couldn't be different. That's just how he is, and he's stuck. And you just have to kind of find a way to deal with it. No, you just said, "I'm not going to," and so you created a different Sue, and he couldn't be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%.
And he's very instinctual, it seems, William. So when he sees somebody who's being disrespecting themselves, he treats them as disrespectfully because that's appropriate to him. So in a sense, he's kind of impeccable in his own peculiar way.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Isn't that fascinating?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot in the story. There's a lot in this incident. It's a memorable event for sure. Significant experience. It's an exciting thing. There's a lot to it. In terms of application, choice, deliberateness. Oh my goodness, just the fact that you did this deliberately, consciously, and that you set your tone and your mood. Man, this is huge. This is huge. I mean, this is like a graduation self-proof, isn't it, Beena? It's fantastic. It's like you set your own graduation ceremony there. It's fantastic.
Let me get my cap and gown here.
Brilliant, brilliant. Oh.
I like it.
Oh.
Yes.
Which reminds me.
Mm-hmm.
Did I send you the updated with the darker signature?
Yeah, it's way better. Way. I printed it out. Thank you.
Oh, where's it hanging? We got to see.
No, it's in my file right now. I didn't hang. I have no place to hang it just yet. Yeah.
Oh, well.
No.
Inside Hercules' kennel, we don't care, but someplace it needs to get hung.
Yes.
You're gonna have to make a place for it.
All right. Okay.
What's that ugly picture behind you there?
What?
That ugly picture behind you, does it now really need to be there?
That one, yes.
You mean my mother's heirloom? Oh, come.
Stupid.
It would be nice to find a place for it if possible, but yeah. Good. I'm glad you printed and printed good, yeah?
Oh, yeah, it was much better, much darker. Yeah.
Okay, some place will surface for it.
Yeah. Module 10, Session 5, Ethical Emptiness. Just because someone's misbelief is agreed upon does not mean it is right and cannot be used to corrupt the conscience. Conformity, if others do it, it must be okay, kind of a myth, is a myth. Goodness and crappiness must be determined on their own merits, or we end up with the lowest common denominator. The tremendous amount of BS and all their tactics creates a massive shit pile we end up sitting in with the BSer. And you can't even see value, ethics, standards anymore through all of it. The BSer loves and feels comfortable when we are at their same level of indulgence and emptiness. Indulgence drags us down and we lose complete clarity on truth, self, ethics, and integrity. Our clarity comes when we understand the BSers' psychology. They are stuck in their childish stage, always acting out that they can want whatever they want, and it just doesn't matter. They know much of what they do is not okay, but they have learned to manipulate it into being okay to satisfy their own wants and desires. When they get people to agree with all this now their myth of agreement is again working for them. So the task is indulgence. What is it? And give some examples, personal or not.
Oh, good question.
He's always mystified by it.
I
His own
forget them
grandeur.
because there's so many between then and now. It's like I like them sometimes. I'm like, all right, that's an expected question, but
I just get the biggest charge. I'm like, yeah, man, I love it.
well, because I'm so attuned to you when you say it. That's like I'm hearing it from you. You see.
I remember, I forget that one time you go, is that your question? No, that's your question. Indulgence. What is it? And give some examples, personal or not. For me, indulgence is gratifying a desire. This is not a need. My indulgence is shoes. At one point, I had 315 pairs at one time.
Imelda, Imelda, go
Wow.
Imelda.
Well, that's what they call me, Imelda Jr. Yeah. I have no real need for them. I just want them for no real reason. My other indulgence is clothing as well. Don't need anything, but I keep buying it, you know. So I just need to unlearn unjustified wants, ridiculous, unnecessary spending, unsubstantiating feeling motivators, and disconnected self. And I realize too, sometimes it's that retail therapy kind of, you know, that was must have been a lot of retail therapy needed for 315 pairs of shoes.
Yep.
So I can invite in discernment, awareness, feelings, immersion bubbles, mood management, self-honesty.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
Wait,
No,
when I
no,
you're trying to figure that one out yet, huh? That 300.
no. Actually, I was also been there. I know what it is.
Yeah. Glad I have some of you.
And I was completely unaware that I had some kind of addiction or indulgence. I was not aware of. I was so confident about myself that I don't have anything like this. But when I joined this way of impeccability, I realized that I have, and then I started just getting out those things, and it was bangles. It was bangles. Oh my God, I just loved that, and I was keep buying. And can you imagine? I got actually more than 3,000. I had
Shush.
really, really.
Wow, you blew me away. You blew me right out of the
Yes.
water, Beena.
And
No freaking way.
these were boxes and just boxes and coming out of everywhere. I don't know, my mother was surprised, everyone was surprised that, and I was like, okay, I never wore all these things, but whenever I saw that, it the colors, the shine, the sound of that was so tempting, and I just keep buying.
my precious, it's so shiny. My precious, it's
Oh my God.
And those were thousands of bangles.
so we learned
3,000
something.
at a
We
time.
learned
You
something
can
today.
wear more than one of at a time. You can
Yeah,
put
yeah. Well, that's what
20 on
we learned
each
something.
Yeah.
One pair of shoes is equal to 10 bangles. So
Yeah,
it's
at
5
least
bangles per
20
shoe.
bags. 20 bags. 20
3,000. No, 300, 3,000.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you
It's
go.
10. It's 10. So yeah,
There
it's
you go.
5 bangles per shoe. Yeah, there you go.
I remember when I moved into this house, and so my family and friends were helping me move. So my mom must have been in charge of something in my bedroom. So she took out this box of belts. You know,
Yeah.
she was she knew I had a shoe problem. She said, Susan, what is it with all these? And she is very funny, very deliberate in counting. And she goes, do you know, she said, you have more belts here than there are days in the year. She said, if you wore a belt every day, you would still not ever run out of belts. Oh my God. I said, geez. I said, thanks, Mom, for letting me know that I had that many belts. Glad she didn't go near my scarf drawer, you know. But whatever.
Snoopy would be jealous, right?
Yeah. So,
Brilliant.
looking
But
at opposite.
sorry, on this point of indulgence, though, You know, it's not necessarily an indulgence to buy a lot of stuff. It's just your hobby, it's your pleasure. It's not necessarily an indulgence. Now, it could be, I'm just saying, not necessarily. So, indulgence is when we do something that we don't feel is justified and we do it anyway.
Oh, they're not justified. There's all this.
No, no, but I'm saying at the time when you did it, you were just in the bubble of joy and you didn't even
Right.
think. And it's
Oh
like, okay,
yes. Oh yes.
so it's a different logic though. You weren't deliberately going against yourself, as it were.
No,
No.
I was in my thoughts. I was so impeccable. I don't had any. I was like, no, I am so perfect. Like I was thinking, and when it started coming out, it was like really, it was embarrassing.
Um,
Ah,
oh, you never thought it was wrong.
No, never.
Indulgence is people who do things that they themselves believe to be wrong.
Oh,
This is a big difference. A big
yeah,
difference.
I don't think I have any of those, like
Nope,
drinking or drugs or no,
no,
no.
no. But when it came to Rosemary, there at some point you indulged your timidity, you could say.
Yeah, yeah.
You knew that what it was, the way you were going relating to Rosemary wasn't right, but you kind of kept going because, well, you didn't want to stand up to Barbara and Santa and all that. So there was, now it's not conscious deliberate indulgence, but to a certain extent you kind of knew I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm doing it anyway, right?
Yeah.
So there was the beginnings of
Gotcha.
indulgence, but that
Gotcha.
you didn't care for that, and it wore on you for all those years because you didn't want to get in. If you'd stuck with it, it would have become more and more deliberate, more conscious, and you would have had to do it with real clarity. And this you couldn't do. No way.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not possible for you. I'm sorry, just not possible.
Yeah.
So indulgence for you isn't actually something that you can actually do. Maybe when it comes to eating, everybody knows indulgence when it comes to eating.
Mhm.
Chocolate
Your
pudding,
Cheez
chocolate
Its.
cake, cheese
Man,
its. Yeah.
he has a horrible diet, Beena. We have to change.
You only see my horrible diet. I eat good stuff too. I had cornflakes for breakfast, the strong cornflakes.
Really?
oh yes, oh yes, and cornflakes, and then chocolate pudding, and then stewed apple, and then with raisins, and
What's wrong
then
with
with
stewed
salami,
apple and raisins? It's healthy stuff. Ay, ay, ay.
and then pasta, and then okay,
Pasta,
and then
yes.
flapjacks.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my God.
Pasta with ketchup, yeah.
See, you're blessed that you don't have this thing. But, okay, we actually respect our food. We take out every nutrition possibly in that and store it in our body. So we are so impeccable in that. You're not like this.
Oh,
No,
You
he's
just eat it
complete
and throw it out.
complete
works for
opposite.
me, I guess. Honestly.
Yeah.
When you come, you're gonna have to cook. We're gonna have you cook some good meals for him, and he has to eat them.
Oh dear. Guess it's not visiting.
Huh?
Yes, I guess it's not visiting.
Ah,
Looking at the ingredients here. Wheat, niacin, isn't niacin a good thing to have?
it's in the bee
Oh
family.
yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
reduced iron, vitamin B1, thiamine monotrate. That's the vitamin that
Are
we
you
want.
looking at the freaking Cheez-Its box?
Yeah, vitamin B2,
Stop it! Stop!
folic acid,
It's processed, processed food.
vegetable oil, soybean and palm oil.
Ah,
All bad.
they're saturated fat.
But isn't a soybean a natural thing?
Not a
Wood is
great.
also natural. Rubber is also natural. We don't eat that.
What did you say, Vita? What is natural?
I,
Rubber is also natural, but I don't eat it. So I gotta eat unnaturally. Okay.
Yeah. We gotta work on him, Vina.
oh yes.
Kidding. So looking at the opposite of infantile desires and their justifications, what would that be in the context of a together person?
Oh,
For me, in the in the context of a together person, these infantile desires are misapplied desires that are filling a void for what is really needed in their lives. So we unlearn desires, unawareness, cover-ups, distractions, outside influences, instant gratification, and materialistic fulfillment. So we can invite in awareness, appropriateness, self-honesty, feeling, self-fulfillment, joy, and gratitude.
Mm. Wouldn't the extreme opposite end of that be attunement?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Okay.
Sure.
Very important.
Yeah, absolutely. List some choices that you have made as to what you want, which are not indulgent choices, but more choices of moreness, which you have chosen by yourself for yourself.
I want to hear this.
For me, my choices, there's the horse. There's the horse. Woo!
At least you aren't an old nag.
Yeah.
That you are not. That you are not.
I know. So for me, my choices and my wants: more understanding of self, more understanding of psychology in general, more awareness, more discernment, more effort reward thinking, more self-gratitude, more self-respect, more self-honesty, more independence of being and thinking, more joy, more self-acceptance, more appropriateness, more laughter, more childlikeness, more impeccability, more humbleness, more attunement and alignment, more knowledge and learning, more thinking things through to the end, more reverse engineering conception. Unlearn unnecessary desires, instant gratification, so I can invite in more of everything for my highest good and to what is appropriate.
More self-respect.
Didn't I put? Yeah, I have that in there. More self-respect.
Well, I must add, and less self-doubt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And self-respect and self-appreciation and self-acceptance. This is huge. And also what you invited in, very specifically, empowerment.
Yes. Yep.
You didn't shrink from that challenge.
Mm-mm.
You went into it deliberately.
Mm-hmm.
Full deliberation. That's a huge thing. That determination to take on challenges, that's empowerment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You are choosing empowerment. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can add on to that list too what you chose for yourself specifically, way of impeccability.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a big thing to choose. It's not a simple thing. You chose that for yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was all my, and that was kind of cool because,
Yeah.
I that others external influences has always been kind of inappropriately problematic for me.
The
you know,
bugaboo for you.
Yeah. And again, I remember when you said, do you want to invite those others? I said, no, I am not, I'm done chasing them. I am done doing them. This is about me. This is for me. I'm ready. I don't care where they are.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. You chose for you and you wanted it to be for you on your terms, in the way you're doing it. And this is it.
Yeah. Yeah. So now module 10, session 6, corrupting justification. Nothing is legal or valid if you have forced someone to agree with you via deception. That is merely deception of mutually reinforcing personal dishonesty. It is beliefs like this that cause corruption, bad results, and other consequences from using immoral tactics to get what you want. When your morals and ethics are not in line and not clear, it is easy to have a BSer mislead you with their cunning deceptions, which only leads to more BS on this slippery slope. So the quote is, there's a group dynamic at play, which is insidious, corrupt, and subtle when the implied consent and validation of bullshit are willingly brought into. Even what's that? Bought into, correct. Even good people are fooled by the myth of agreement because so many times they think they will follow what everyone else thinks or says it's good. Not all agreements made are right and good. That is BS. Okay.
Did you make an agreement with Santa and Barbara?
Sure.
Yeah.
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 That myth of agreement really bit you with them, right?
Oh, boy. And the big one in the behind. Yeah.
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 We don't need to see the scars.
No proof required. We're going to take it first for that one. Take it at
Not in
face.
this, not in this case. Right? We do like self-proof, but sometimes, nope. Nope.
Yeah. We're good. We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. The task is, how did the idea that if others believe it, it must be true, come about way back? For me, all it takes is someone with a corrupt agenda, lack of independence of being and thinking, is ego-driven, victimizing and believes in victimization and is self-loathing, just to name a few, for the myth of the agreement to actually ever come into being. I am sure since the dawn of time, these people existed and have filled history with all its horrors. So I just think it's just been around forever.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. As soon as somebody realized that they can bully an opinion, that's when it all started.
Sure. Unlearn inappropriate.
Physical bullying, right? But at some point they clicked, oh, you can bully opinions and attitudes and mindsets and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the game opened wide up. Yeah.
Yep.
So unlearn inappropriateness, lies, deceptions, corrupt agendas, ego-driven, using others, and inappropriate trusting. So you can invite in the independence of being and thinking, self-honesty, integrity, impeccability, freeness, understanding, proof and validation, thinking it through to the end, and asking questions.
And asking questions. Yes.
What
the magical thing.
Yeah. What idea or belief, which is physically represented if you just look around you, do you believe just because everyone else does or others believe it? For me, my belief that things will take care of themselves is what we're going to open up here. I always thought, because there is a master plan out there, no matter what spiritual or religious beliefs you have, that things will be taken care of. God is good. Well, that belief has been shattered because I have much more clarity on how much I am responsible for that goodness to occur. I must be aware of the God/universe and its intent and the intents they show us. I must show up and pay attention, and I must take action and responsibility for myself in each and every situation. It does not magically happen if we are out of attunement and alignment. So I need to unlearn blind acceptance, laziness, truth, expecting something for nothing, so I can invite in awareness, understanding, discernment, choice, appropriateness, self-honesty, value, and integrity. Knowledge, understanding, attunement, alignment, self-acceptance, independence of being and doing, and the gift of doubt.
In other words, if you take that entire list of what you need to invite in and put it into one concept, that would be impeccability.
Impeccable. Right.
Wow.
Absolutely.
The universe does take care of things, but only when we've been impeccable.
Right.
When I've been impeccable, the rest is not up to me. That rest is up to the universe. The universe takes care not of things, but of the rest. That's what it takes care of. But you need to do your part.
Great. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. We can have faith and confidence in that things will work out. The universe will take care of it. But it's what? What's the it? The it is the rest. I have to do my part. Once I've been impeccable, the rest is not up to me.
And again, that was a little shift in my mindset there, because, we were all brought up, if you be good or you just put it out there, no, there's a little more work to manifesting something, people so loosely, and I see now how loosely they use that term, oh, just manifest it. And
Right, exactly.
what are you doing to get that manifestation to come true?
Yeah, just a little sort of a side quirk of in Wave Impeccability, we try not to use this word manifest because it is so abused out there.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
So I
and
say
I thought that was
materialize rather.
because never once. This is probably the first time that word even came up in all this time. Yeah.
Right.
No.
Well, very
And I
disciplined
used
with
to
it.
use it a lot, and I used to use it a lot, and I don't.
Right.
My new one is intent.
Right.
You know.
And there is, we can materialize things. So we can, this thing of manifesting, it is something that is there, but it's so abused and it's so built on BS, and it's such a vain hope and a wish for people that it's just become a mess, and the law of attraction has messed up the whole thing, So,
oh yeah, the secret. The secret.
Yeah, the
law.
secret, right.
Yeah. So give an example, or a few if possible, of societal good.
I'm sorry, Sue. There was one other point that was related to that last one, and that is about goodness. Like you said, people you've been taught, just be good and it'll all be good. Well, we're realizing now that being good, if you are not appropriately good and if you are not good with awareness, you become a target.
Yeah.
And you actually become a target and in being that target, being that victim, all right? But you're now, in a sense, a willing victim because of your timidity and desperations, all this stuff. You also become complicit.
Yeah.
So being good can be part of the problem if it's good without awareness. This is it's kind of a heartbreaking realization for some people, especially that helping people where they love without awareness, and all their loving goodness aggravates the problem, not solves it. It's very sad for them. This is why it's all about
poster of that
awareness.
Yeah, no, that's a big one. So I make a poster of that one. Being good. Yeah, no. Being good can be a problem without awareness.
So I every now and then I make a big little post, or have a little mini rant, I guess, about that it needs to be love with awareness. Love without awareness can be disastrous. Yeah. And so often is.
So give an example, or a few if possible, of societal good which really isn't. For me, helping others who don't help themselves, generosity for those who don't appreciate it, taking control of a situation because I'm capable, but I don't let others involve enough to learn and grow themselves, or have choices for that matter, because I just took over. So unlearn one-sided thinking, immersion bubbles, ego, inappropriate agendas, inappropriate helping and generosity, and controlling. So I can invite in awareness, choices, knowledge, discernment, thinking things through to the end, sharing, appropriate help and generosity, effort, reward, learning, self-honesty, and integrity.
Nice. Yeah, that appropriateness, this is so huge. It is so huge, right?
Massive.
Yeah. It's everything.
Yeah. Give an example of your ethics, an ethical position which you hold, which is different from the societies in general, or that of friends and family.
Beena. While Sue's coughing, I'll tell you quickly. We get to your Sue's secrets with a tricky question. Right. I'll just teasing. I said we get to hear your secrets now with that tricky question. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. This was so long ago. For me, just because someone is family or a friend, a longtime friend, does not mean you need to tolerate their inappropriateness.
Yes.
So unlearn obligation, family, trends, or cultures, and being a follower. Invite in awareness, appropriate leadership, independence of being and thinking, choices, understanding, freedom, knowledge, learning, self-honesty, value, integrity, choices, gift, and the gift of doubt.
Yeah. Since you had choices twice, could one of them be amended to be deliberate choices?
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Because that's the key. It's deliberate choice, right? When we start to unhook from societal conditioning,
Yeah.
deliberate choice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
And that
ask
was a
Beena.
big thing. I mean, I've had a friend from, I'm 63. We became friends at
No, no, no,
50,
no,
what,
no, no.
what?
We don't believe it, right, Beena? We don't believe it.
Ah,
But
I'm,
really,
I'm,
on funny note, but because yes, I was laughing. But really, Sue, the first
ah,
your energy is so vibrant
Yeah.
and so positive. So it feels, I don't feel any difference at all.
cool.
We'll just
Yeah.
keep flipping it around. So you'll be 36 for us.
36,
Yeah,
36.
Oh yes.
Month is my birthday.
yeah,
I'll be 63 next
yeah.
month.
Next
But
month on
Next one.
anyway, July 26th.
26.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
very exciting.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, I have a friend that I've known it. I just did the math. It's 48 years,
Wow.
and about I'm gonna say 10 years ago, I started pruning some people out of my and she just didn't get it. And I just knew, I couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew something happened and I'm like, we're done. We're done. I didn't talk to her for a year till I kind of figured it out. And then I figured it out. She was my mother again.
Ah,
And there
wow.
was so much friction. And, you know, my mother comes off as like a Mother Teresa and always helping everybody and so forth. But you
But
know, how'd she help me? And my friend was the same way. But because it's been a forever thing, oh, you're like my sister. You're an aunt. You're the mother of my children as well. No, I'm not. You know, when I woke up and came out of realizing how crappy I felt after I was around her, I said, I can't do this. I can't be around her. So it kind of shifted. And now again, it's almost like a William. I can, if I'm around her, I just make a different, intent in my head
yes.
that this is how it's going to be, and we
Ah,
go from there.
yeah. I would say not just in your head, but in your body, in your feeling,
Yeah, yeah,
your
yeah.
intent, in your will. It goes all the way down your abdomen, your legs, your arms. Every part of you feels that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
You
So
feel it.
it's shifted and it's fine.
Fantastic.
Again, you don't, I should have done that more so with Barbara and Santa,
Yeah.
realizing, hey, no, this isn't going to work. Let me figure this out myself. And then I gradually went back in, but it was on my terms. It was
Yeah.
on my terms, not theirs.
Exactly. Exactly. And it is now. It is now.
Yeah, it is now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you
Yeah.
know, with Barbara and Santa, I'm actually thrilled the way it's worked out. There's no need for the self-proof with them because they are so
This is the proof. This is the proof.
exactly,
This is
exactly,
the
exactly.
and to see that, knowing that when you are dealing with BSers and BMN, when you be clear, when you state independence of being and
Right.
thinking, they like freak the hell
They
out.
can't deal with it.
They
Exactly.
can't. They
Exactly.
can't. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you know, also to understand that there are black hole psychologies. So you want to stay away from a black hole
Yeah.
when you can.
That's
If you
right.
have to deal with it, fine. Then you put your engines at maximum, and it takes energy and effort. But still, you know, they best avoided
That's
and not dealt with. Right.
yeah. Yeah.
So you know that text that you sent him has had a fantastic effect.
Yeah. Sure did.
It's incredible, incredible.
Yeah. So the next one is session 7 in module 10, vacuous validity. It's like
Mm.
a tongue
Mm.
twister. The quote is,
I like those.
implied agreement and approval fosters the notion of validity when there's none. If others agree with me, must be right. That was the quote. You cannot believe things just because someone else says that they are true. You must test and prove them for yourself and make them your own. Not many people do this, so they are easily caught up in the BSer's myth of agreement. We need to stand alone, being independent beings and thinkers, take responsibility for self, and be impeccable doing it. The lessons we can learn from are that from the BSer, from their hollow, shallow, and unrealistic life that they lead. When your ways, beliefs, agendas are compromised, you only end up adding to the corruption and indulgence of the BSers, and you reinforce their lack of ethics and integrity by adding in yours. You don't want to be part of legitimizing unsubstantiated beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors. Any small contributions to these unethical behaviors as a dependent being is truly corrupting and polluting to the world. Just a bit of BS gets you in the bigger gang of defilement and pollution. What?
Game, maybe.
What's that?
Game, not gang.
Oh, game. Get you in the game of, yeah. Defilement. I don't know. Whatever. If we care about our world, how do we justify polluting it with bullshit? Yeah.
I think what you were saying earlier there is that, you know, even just a little bit, it gets you involved in that game of
In a bigger game of yeah.
Yeah, of nonsense and defilement and BS and all of this stuff. Yeah, you get sucked in pretty quickly.
Yeah, true. So the task is provide an example in your life where agreement was taken as validity for being right. For me, I believed at the time that Barbara was right in omitting Rosemarie from her son's wedding because of the turmoil that she would sometimes cause. And she would, on her, in a weird way. I tested nothing and wanted to be on what I thought was the winning or right side of things, because there may be, I thought, some truth in what she says. So I needed to unlearn taking things for granted, needing to fit in or be liked, falling out for other people's corrupt agendas and falling into a trap. So I can invite in awareness, independence of being and thinking, self-honesty, value and integrity, understanding, knowledge, appropriateness, kindness, thinking things through to the end, effort, reward, and compassion for others. How do you determine whether or not something is right for you? For me, awareness, understanding, and knowledge. Test and prove it, think it through to the end, and then own it. So unlearn unsubstantiated beliefs, being a follower. So you can invite in awareness, understanding, knowledge, test and prove it, think it through to the end, owning it, independence of being and thinking. Why is it so extremely important in an overall context that we make our own decisions? For me, because we always have the choice to be real and self-honest as an independent thinker and being, because we have a choice, basically.
Exactly. Our choice.
Unlearn following others, dependency, lack of choice in thinking. So it can invite in awareness, choice, independence of being and thinking, understanding, knowledge, self-testing, improving, and effort and reward. What's critical when it comes to decision-making and developing and enhancing our awareness? For me, having a strong foundation of self-honesty, value, trust, and integrity that we have made for ourselves and have been tested and proven to be our own. Unlearn following others, fear, laziness, ego, unsubstantiated beliefs, and fitting in. So I can invite in awareness, choice, independence of being and thinking, understanding, knowledge, self-testing, improving, effort, reward, self-honesty, value, and integrity.
Yes. That value, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I have value in it. Do you perhaps have friends or acquaintances who are in your life merely to bolster your ideas and beliefs? For me, For me, clients bolster that belief that I am knowledgeable and skillful in my work. Unlearn dependence, fitting in, needing approval. Invite in full acceptance of self and skill set, self-honesty, value, and integrity, awareness, independence of being and thinking, and impeccability.
So fish and ponds.
Say that again.
Fish and ponds.
Fish.
Oh.
Fish.
Yeah, fish and ponds as the topic here. So in this context, we have to be aware. All right, we'll take care of her.
Yeah, I'll walk over. Go ahead.
Okay. So we have to be aware that yes, we are shifting ponds, but it doesn't mean that to be the appropriate fish in the appropriate pond is inappropriate. There's value. Just because we see there's a bigger pond, it doesn't mean we can't provide value in the pond that we have been in before or were in at the time. It doesn't devalue what you did. It simply means that there are more ponds available.
Gotcha.
Okay. So again, don't look back at what you were doing and seeing it as worthless and useless. No, it is very valuable and very useful. And not everybody is able to. There are many clients that cannot swim in a different pond.
Right.
They're not comfortable there. So, this is it. It's all about appropriateness. The universe is magical in how it fits people together into where they need to be. So,
yeah. No, I think the clients are appropriate, but again, they kind of boost me up. You know what I mean?
Oh, I understand what you mean. There's the other side of things too, and it's a very good example. And I'm appreciating the honesty. I'm just being cautious that you don't go overboard with it and devalue what you were doing at the same time, because it could by implication be there. Okay.
For one tiny second, that does happen.
All right.
You think, Jesus, But no, I provide a service that is appropriate, for certain people and yeah.
Oh, it helps them, and it's where they do, and it's where their comfort level is. And as you go through and you look back at your own path, you were in situations that were appropriate for you then. They're not now. That's it.
Correct.
So, yeah, things shift, things change.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean yet you have to stay in that. But it just I don't devalue it. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, I won't.
Very important.
Let me just write a note there for that. So next one is Module 11, Session 1, Co-opting Complicity, and this session is about leveraging awkwardness. I should feel right at home here. Okay. BMN's way of life.
Used to,
yeah. BMN's way of life is through indulgence. This slippery slope of allegiance to the agreement of these inappropriate indulgences, how we get entangled into the BSer's life. Ultimately, they are co-opting generally good people's goodness to repurpose it as complicity. It is important to the BMN that they are seen as nice and cool. They have mastered the nuances required to maintain their image or appearance so they can knowingly manipulate others. They exploit good people by knowing it will be difficult for them to be rude or make a scene with someone who appears to be nice and cool. And the BMN has no qualms about doing this whatsoever.
No.
Our need to be good, trusting, kind, and courteous end up turning against us. Our ability to stand up to the BSer makes us think we are weak and wimpy, and that makes us personally responsible for hurting ourselves. And what's worse, we are aiding and abetting the unethical behavior of the BMN. The quote, bullshitters cannot survive on its own. It requires complicity of some sort. We are then into the complicity of BS with the BMN, even though they are in over their heads, because they always overestimate their abilities. They love this feeling and appearance of being more than what they really are, but they can seldom deliver. So their ticket out is to blame others and BS more. The unfortunate part of this is the time and energy investment that has been wasted on such ridiculousness, but we are complicit because we really did nothing. The remedy is to say or do something immediately to eradicate this behavior. We need to realize the consequences involved, especially with our own personal morals and ethics, so that we are not complicit in any fashion. The task is, what are the consequences, of allowing a manipulator to manipulate us even once, no matter how small? For me, the consequences of being manipulated is loss of all of the following: your independence of being and thinking, your self-honesty, integrity, value, and ethics, your inappropriate intolerance,
Your appropriate intolerance.
or inappropriate tolerance.
Right.
Inappropriate tolerance. Goodness and kindness, awareness, understanding, learning, and growth. So they're all kind of lost.
Yeah.
So I have to unlearn lack of all of the above that I just mentioned, so I can invite in independence of being, thinking, self-honesty, integrity, values, ethics, appropriate intolerance, goodness and kindness, awareness, understanding, knowledge, learning, and growth.
Yeah. Very important.
What is the biggest ethical problem with complicity? Yes, it is somewhat of an obvious question, but make the argument anyway. For me, the bottom line is we enable the corruption and disease of the world to continue instead of correcting and eradicating it. So again, the obvious there is of the unlearning.
And that the bigger problem with complicity is condoning it.
Yeah.
Not just that you enable it, but somebody looking like a kid sees this complicity, and by implication, you're saying it's okay.
Yeah.
So we
I guess enabling and condoning really are two different things. Sometimes I think of them as the same, but I just add that where we are enabling and condoning the corruption.
Yeah, exactly. Because enable is just pertinent to that factor, but condoning has a larger implication that you're saying it's okay. And it's not okay, but you're doing so by implication, even though you don't even yourself feel it's okay, but by implication. So this is a very, very big deal. Oh, and some people don't really think for themselves. Oh, if everyone's doing it, it must be okay. It's not that they're bad, but they see you condoning. Oh, this is okay to do that because you have some independence of being, and they just follow you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an ethical responsibility. Yeah.
So the next
Look
question.
at that. Sorry, on this point with complicity, I don't know if it comes in later or not, but it might. Just with the Me Too movement and how the enablers and the condoners contributed to keeping those people in power.
Yeah, you talked about that in one of the tasks. Yeah. That was pretty fit right in for sure. Yeah. I think you mean, when is inappropriate tolerance appropriate?
Yes.
For me, you must always. Oh, sorry. For me, I said, you almost got me on this one. I first thought it read appropriate intolerance. This one is really playing with my head a bit. I guess it still is. Politically speaking, when a president or official has been voted in office that you did not want in, and you cannot change it.
Yep.
So unlearning judgment, narrow-minded thinking, invite in awareness, openness, appropriate intolerance, knowledge, self-acceptance, honesty, integrity, appropriateness in general, discernment, and moreness.
Yeah. I mean, this is the compact that we have with democracy, is that we agree to dislike choices when
Correct.
when it goes against our particular voting. And this is the problem with democracy. You know, a lot of the Greeks, they like Plato was very anti-democracy because he says essentially it's mob rule.
Yeah, and it is.
So,
Yeah. So next session 2 is implied endorsement. When our goodness is being used inappropriately by the BMN, it's like they are stealing from us along with our positivity. They steal our freedom, and everything they do about it is unethical. They start by crossing the line of the normal polite interactions and add in the forced agreements from others, or say, I'm sure you'll agree, etc. So this co-opted support is nonchalantly gained and never directly focused on. The distraction of confusion once again makes us go along via subtle manipulation and implied substantiation. The initial agreement that they want you to agree with is usually pretty undefined. Here is where our goodness starts getting abused, using that confusion and friendliness as a foundation. They overstep the boundaries of politeness interaction and force it to be an implied sanction of their BS as they continue to use their BS to self-promote on some level.
yeah.
If we question them at any stage, we are the ones that seem petty and ridiculous, and that will give the BMN another opportunity to turn the tables against us. Awareness and knowledge is our big asset to recognize the BSer and the BMN. If we just take a few seconds to power pause, this gives us an opportunity to access things before we give our friendship away to someone who will just abuse it. The power pause is the time to redirect ourselves so we don't give away our goodness and positivity, because it's hard to get it back once we inadvertently allow them to take it. We can just respond with a simple, no, and this will stop, and plus the tactics they might have in their tracks.
Right. We just need to make some, we don't have to disagree, but we have to make some expression of non-agreement.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people don't understand this. So they think in that mentality of opposites, and that when something they have to disagree, they have to be confrontational. No, you don't have to confront, you just simply have to not agree.
Yeah. This single answer warns the BMN that we are not going to be a forced ally. Once is usually enough for them to be warned, and they're not, and therefore they're not going to risk their exposure. So now they are off to find another unsuspecting victim to co-opt in their BS. If you are in the presence of someone that they are trying to make inadvertently complacent or complicit to their BS, you can merely say, "Do you, Joe?" And that will derail them again.
Right. And that's when they're trying to co-opt a third person.
Sure.
You just have to, again, you're not confronting the BMN directly. You are just checking with that person. And again,
Right.
You're expressing non-agreement.
Correct.
In a subtle way, roundabout way, in a non-controversial, non-confrontational way. It's very simple. You're just simply speaking up, but not confrontationally. And this, a lot of people don't realize there are other options between confrontation or just backing off and, just accepting it. No, they don't realize there are many, many options that allow you to act differently, right?
Absolutely. When we look at scenarios such as have been laid out in this session, what can we do to preemptively prepare? For me, become aware and knowledgeable about everything about the BSer and the BMN so we can be more discerning. Unlearn believing without testing or proving, laziness, unawareness, fitting in, lack of independence. Invite in independence of being and thinking, self-honesty, integrity, value and ethics, inappropriate intolerance, goodness and kindness, awareness, understanding, knowledge, learning, and growth. What are other ways we can refuse to be complicit and not support manipulations? For me, shut it down when you see it. Do not enable or condone. Unlearn following the crowd, falling for false friendships, corrupt agendas, and not questioning. So you can invite in standing up for yourself and others, overview perspective, discernment, understanding, awareness, true friendships, knowledge, understanding, self-honesty, value, integrity, and self-trust.
An overview perspective, especially.
Yes. Did I have that
When
in?
in doubt, zoom out.
Yeah.
That's so huge that when in doubt, zoom out.
Yeah.
And doubt here, when you question anything, when you're uncertain, anything that's unclear, that's it. When doubt, zoom out. Just zoom out. That's it.
Yep. What are other non-confrontational ways we can prevent this co-opting of our agreement or implied support? For me, emphasize positivity and de-emphasize negativity. Just remove yourself and others from a potentially negative environment. That was the other thing. Just remove yourself and others from potential. So unlearn, no way out, falling into a trap and fake friends, invite in awareness, overview perspective, understanding, emphasis, de-emphasis, trust, truth, positivity, appropriate intolerance, choice, freedom, and true friendships.
Freedom, those true friendships,
Yeah.
That's the thing too. When it comes to, like we were saying the other day, that as we shift and move on, we realize how precious our real friendships are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this inviting of true friendships. When we stop being desperate, we don't invite false friendships.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Beena, any comments? Oh, sorry. Oh, go ahead, Sue. Well, I just wanted to hear from Beena.
When I thought, knowing Donna for all these years and, all these friends, and she was introducing me to everybody and invited me to all these galas and events and all that other stuff. And it pulled me away from Bill, who was very honest and true. And, and it really, once I realized all this, it really even more enhanced our relationship because I respect, not that I disrespected him, but I respected him more.
You appreciated him more. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so pleased that you and Bill are together.
Yeah.
I have a deep romantic heart, so I cheer for things like this. So
he's
makes me very happy. Yeah.
How does being other factor into strategies of non-complicity and refusing to be leveraged without being difficult or causing a scene? For me, when you are other, which is an independent being or thinker, with awareness, all the things needed to be impeccable, then they cannot even get near you because they'll be afraid of you and will just realize that they will move on to the next unsuspecting soul. When they see that it's a quick shutdown for the BMN and the only tactics they will try is to pull you down, but you realize what they are doing so we don't get caught in the immersion bubbles because the independent thinker is confident. So we unlearn there is only one way: complicity, lack of confidence and independence. So we can invite in power pausing, awareness, independence of being and thinking, self-confidence and honesty, value, integrity, overview perspective, understanding, emphasis and de-emphasis, trust, truth, positivity, appropriate intolerance, choice, and freedom.
Mm.
Big one.
Self-confidence jumped
Huge.
out for me there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Huge.
yeah. Your self-confidence is in a different world now. Not
Mhm.
that you ever lacked self-confidence, but it's a different self-confidence.
No, yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
solid self-confidence. There's a realness to it. It's
Mhm.
a substantial, and it is a self-confidence that's built on self-respect.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's
also
that's
taking
the
charge
difference.
of yourself. It's a big difference, right? You're in charge of Sue now, nobody else.
That's right.
It's
That's right.
fantastic. It's fantastic.
So session 3 is forced friendliness.
Mm.
BMNs coerce us through our politeness to be our friends, but we must be aware of this forced interaction because it's a true manipulation. The BMNs are so charming so that they can pull you in easily into a forced friendship. So to avoid this, we must first power pause to ask ourselves, what's the intent here? The power pause gives us time to redirect so that we are not led astray. It's hard for good and nice people to do this, so awareness is the issue good and nice people must have in their forefront of their minds. Good and nice and positive can easily exist with awareness, but we need to build in that power pause with our discernment so that we can choose to shift old habits and behaviors. They can hijack our goodness by a simple hello, and before you know it, you're in a relationship you don't want to be in.
Right.
Check that first impulse of befriending and use neutrality instead. You can respond with, I don't know what you are and I want no part of it. Thanks. BSers fear awareness. It is kryptonite to them.
Yeah.
When we are aware of BS and bring it into the light, then the BSer just cannot survive.
Yeah.
Non-specific actions do create complicity as well. Not doing is just as dangerous as doing, so we must be responsible for all our actions no matter what.
Mm.
BSers just love when non-action is used because they use it as a lever for more BS.
Opens the door, yeah.
Sure. Their leverage is using our not wanting to be disagreeable, and they exploit that.
Yeah.
Doing nothing is still an agreement to the BSer, so we therefore are being complicit. The way to disagree without actually saying anything is to just show that we are not interested or agree, and we don't even have to spell it out for them or say why. Although for some this is difficult to do, but we must learn to do this so the BS cannot continue. So the task is, how can you use a preemptive strategy when dealing with a BM or BSer? For me, understand and be aware of what you are dealing with. Plain and simple. Unlearn inappropriate acceptance, unawareness, lack of knowledge and learning, misunderstanding, and blind living. So you
Blind
can,
living, oh yeah.
yeah. So you can invite in awareness, appropriate acceptance, knowledge, learning, discernment, understanding, and appropriate strategies. When dealing with situations where we know a BMN or a BSer is likely to try and manipulate and apply their tactics, what warrior strategies can we employ as if we're in a military situation? For me, the first rules of war is know your enemy and have a strategy to conquer. Question everything, or the BSer will take you down. It is advisable to even treat the truth as BS until we can prove it otherwise. Treat it as truth, right? Treat it. treat the truth as BS. Right. Treat the truth as BS. I got you. Unlearn taking things for granted, being manipulated, and laziness. So we can invite in awareness, knowledge, understanding, discernment, self-empowerment, self-truth, honesty and integrity, strategy, and thinking things through to the end.
Right. So we can add in a very profound power conception here, which likely is already there. I'm sure we've spoken about it during when we were doing Wave Impeccability, and that is believing without believing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or trusting without trusting, accepting without accepting. Or in this case, in your specific example, we can say disbelieving without believing, or distrusting without trusting, or without distrusting. Either way, we're doing both together, whether it's trust or distrust, whether it's belief or disbelief, acceptance or non-acceptance, doesn't matter. We do so, but you don't fully do so. So it's under advisement. We're keeping it open. And that's the key with those. We don't commit. Most of the times when it comes to belief or trust, people commit, they get locked in, and there's where the problem comes. They don't leave it open to change, and they don't set up strategies which keep them outside of the commitment zone.
Yeah. We do not lock it
So,
in. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So I don't know if I shared this example with you, but a nice physical, graphical example of a commitment zone is when the zebra or the wildebeest go down to the watering hole and the lion are lying right there, right? So the lion have eaten and they all chill and they're not hungry. So the zebra can come close to them, much closer than they would ordinarily out in the field, in the plains. They wouldn't come that close ever. But because it's the water hole, they have to. But they see the lions aren't hungry and aren't in chasing mode, so they can come much closer than they would. So they trust without trusting, right, that they can go there. Because they're still nervous, they're still checking it out. Now, if you were to squish those together, there is a point, a line, which no matter how thirsty those zebra are, they will not cross. Right? There's a commitment zone. And that commitment zone is the line in which that area around the line, from which if the lion were to attack, the zebra could not escape.
Yeah.
Right? That's the commitment line. Right? So they won't cross that, no matter how thirsty they are. See? So when we keep that commitment line to say, there is a point where once I cross that line, I'm committed.
Yeah.
So when we trust without trusting and say, okay, I trust you, there's no problem, but I'm not going past that commitment line.
Yeah.
No problem. For the rest, I'll trust you. It's no problem. I see you. You align. Maybe not. I don't know what you are. Okay. But I don't get myself entangled. So I don't sign any contracts and stuff that lock me in until I'm sure I can cross that line.
Yeah, it's like gamblers. If they don't go in there with some said boundary, talk about entanglement.
Exactly. They get lost quickly. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But specifically when it comes to trust and belief, if we can believe everything somebody says, as long as it doesn't commit me to anything, so what? I'm not committed to anything. I'm not locked into anything. Okay. If it turns out that it's false, no problem. It doesn't matter. That's the thing. So, yeah. So same with the zebra. If it turns out the lion that are hungry and they kind of just, they're still not close enough they're still far away enough to be able to get away. Yeah. They're not entangled. In other words, they're not committed. It's the commitment that's the key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What moods, attitudes, expressions, etc., can we employ when encountering or dealing with friendly BSers and BMNs? For me, I take friendship seriously, and it is an investment. It's a commodity I respect, and I don't take it lightly. Or for me, friendship is earned by both parties. Show a non-interested attitude, or say, I don't know what you and I know what you are, and I don't agree. Thanks. My mood will have to be in an empowerment of being an independent thinker and being an my mood will have to be empowerment of being and independence of being and thinking and knowing my foundation of my moral ethics and integrity and confidence. So I want to unlearn manipulation, lack of awareness, lack of independence, lack of self-confidence, being gullible, unlearn neediness to have friends, So I can invite in independence of being and thinking, awareness, knowledge, self-confidence, self-honesty, value, integrity, strategy, understanding, and true friends.
So on this point of where you said agree, could you replace agree with I'm not into that stuff or that sort of thing, or I'm not into it. It's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than agree. When you make it a statement of my personal preference, that doesn't really resonate with me. I don't. It doesn't hold much interest for me, or doesn't connect with me. You're not saying it's wrong. You're not disagreeing. You're just saying, it's not for
Yeah,
me.
that's when I'm not into that. That's a very, that is right. Agreeing throws it in a whole different ballgame. You're right. You're right.
What's
Yeah.
the problem when you use the word agree? Immediately, it enables a BMN or a BSO or a contentious person to say, oh, but why?
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're in an argument.
Right. This cuts all that out. Yeah. And you hear lots of times, like if you bring I used to sell multi-level, products and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you say something to somebody and the people who, well, they're like, I don't know. I'm not sure I agree with it. So then the door is open there.
Correct.
But
now,
when they say, that's not my thing, I am done. I'm shut down.
Exactly. You got no comeback against it, because what do you say? Okay, yeah.
Not my thing, please.
And
I'm not into
you
that.
do try and bring up some kind of a, but you just open yourself up to being a big ass, and it's like, come on, you make yourself, really
pushing
seriously.
something that doesn't need to be pushed. Yep, absolutely.
No, you can't. You have no opening to that. Yeah. So it's very, very, very effective with the BMNs as well. They don't give them no opening, So it's interesting, that, I don't drink, not because I'm against alcohol or anything. I used to, as a kid, I was all into it. But then as I just, shortly after school, I could drink less and less, and it just became a poison to my body. So despite the wheat, the Cheez-Its and stuff like that, I don't eat and drink a lot of stuff.
Vices. Yeah.
Because my body doesn't agree with it, and I can't do it because my body treats it as a poison. So I really do trust my body. It treats cabbage and cauliflower as poisons too. It's no different to alcohol. It's spinach, absolutely. They're all poisons to my body. That's what they taste like. They taste like poisons. So I don't know, but the point I wanted to make though is about I grew up in the alcohol culture, and so learning how to diplomatically say no, it takes a lot of skill, because if you just say no thank you in a regular way, it's taken as a disagreement, so I had to develop these skills of diplomacy to point out, so usually I just say,
Donna, Karen, they are all drinkers. They're all drinkers. And every time we go places, I'm always a designated driver. Which is fine, because I'm not a drinker. I really am not. It doesn't, like you said, it's more poison. It doesn't agree with me. I get a headache.
Treats it as a poison. Same
so
with,
they would always tease me. I'm like, I just don't want any. That's the first thing they ordered off the menu was a drink. I'm like, I'll have water. So I remember one time we were in, I think it was our first trip to Sedona. No. We were in California for the Big Sur Marathon. And he said, do you drink? I'm like, I'm not opposed to drinking. I said, I just choose not to. I said, it's no big deal to me,
So I usually, in that situation, I let people know. I say, I don't know. I guess I'm unlucky, but my body treats it as a poison. What can I do? Now it's when I say, I guess I'm unlucky. So diplomacy is a good skill. It's a good skill. Erica Jane.
Morning, Erica Jane. How are you?
Doing well. Good morning.
Good.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
And I'm assuming that's one of your own creations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And do you see what do you call the things? Tongues? What do you call them? Oh,
they're wooden. They're like wooden teeth.
Right. I was saying there's one called Sue there, but you number 3 over there on the side is called Sue. It was sticking up and lights.
Oh, we're sticking up. This is lava, and that's
Lava.
lava.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Cool.
There you
Cool.
go. So that's
How you doing, Erica Jane?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Lots of practicing.
Did you do anything for the Memorial Day holiday?
Nope. It was nasty weather here, so
Was it?
yeah,
Was it?
relaxing.
Wow. Wow.
Cool.
Interesting.
I
Interesting.
went to my
Interesting.
mom's house and fixed a bunch of stuff at her house.
Oh, did you? That's not
Oh,
bad.
good. Oh, good.
How far
So,
away
where-
did he live from you?
He's about an hour and a half, hour and 45
Oh, really?
minutes.
Wow.
Interesting. Interesting.
Hmm.
Very
Hmm.
cool. Very cool. Yeah, she was saying Joe did something with her internet for her. So.
Oh, cool.
He has in the past. He didn't do anything on
Oh, this time. Ah.
trip, I don't think, but he certainly has in the past. But we swapped out her garbage disposal and
Wow.
changed some lights that are too high for her, and brought her the power washer to help her power wash her front porch and all kinds of different stuff. Swapped
Oh,
out
nice.
the outlet, I
Wow.
think. So.
Yeah, that's what I
All
want
right.
to do.
So, so before we get going, we have something very important to do. Very important. Very important. I think using the tools that are at our disposal is absolutely essential. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And to be able to use them and to demonstrate that we can use them is critical, right?
Mhm.
All right. So, Erica Jane, let me ask you, tools at your disposal that may just be lying around, right?
Yeah.
Can you demonstrate some of these for us in usability, please?
Tools at my disposal that are laying around.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um,
Particularly ones that are across your left shoulder there.
The guitar. I like it. I see.
Yes, yes. We need a demonstration, do we not? Tools at your disposal. We need a demonstration. Can
Nice.
you use them? Did Erica Jane not say, yes, I can, and I do? So we need proof, please, Erica Jane. We need proof.
I have had one whole guitar lesson.
Brilliant. Brilliant. You can demonstrate the lesson for us then.
That's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I'm really keen to hear. I truly am. I truly am. It's very exciting. And
Well,
particularly the fact that you had one lesson, this is magical. This is magical.
so okay, I will qualify that with I have been trying to learn guitar since I was 10.
Oh,
And so for 22 years, I have gone back and forth, make it so far, and then forget what I'm doing and stop. And so it's been quite an ordeal, but I've finally started taking professional lessons.
Fantastic.
So.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, I would like to ask you to feel the guitar, not to play it.
Okay.
That's it. Just feel any sound you want to make that feels good. That's all we want to hear.
Well, I don't know
Not to play something, but to make a sound that feels good. Yes, I'm looking at that curtain rod as well, Sue.
I have no idea if that's going to work. It's really dark.
Oh,
it's an electric guitar.
Yeah, and she's got the right outfit on for it as well. Perfect, perfect.
99% of the time that I've spent trying to learn guitar has been on acoustic.
Oh.
Light is there. But
oh, we can see you fine. It's no problem. The light is fine.
I have lost my calluses. And so playing on acoustic when you have no calluses only lasts for like maybe 5 minutes tops before it starts to end.
Oh,
so
really?
I have been practicing on my electric guitar to start with the right movement and kind of get me down because you don't have to press hardly at all to get sound to come out on an electric guitar. So
Interesting.
it's
Interesting.
just around the fingers when you're learning.
Wow.
Let's see. Well,
So the objective here is not to play something, but to make sounds that you enjoy feeling.
Okay. I don't quite know how to do that without actually playing something.
Okay, well, anyway, anything that you enjoy feeling the sound. Yeah,
Well,
there you go.
I think this has already gotten out of tune, but
It's all
let's
good.
see. The one I've been practicing is Blackbird, because that's a fun one to move up and down.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. Nope, that's not it.
If you don't go, we wouldn't know the difference, by the way.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, yeah. But
Oh,
did
that
you?
actually
Wow.
sounds better on electric than it does on acoustic, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
pretty.
that song.
Yeah.
That's such a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
song.
But
It
did
is-
you? Sorry, Eric, Jane, Sue, and Beena. Did you hear what I heard? Which is why I was keen to hear this. I heard that gentleness and the grace come through, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I heard, Erica Jane, that inner feeling of you. That's what I heard. And that's why I asked you to play what makes you feel good.
Right.
Because it is a connectivity between the instrument and you. You essentially playing your insides.
Right.
And even in the masking and whatever, it doesn't matter. We heard that. We heard that. That was beautiful. It's really nice.
Cool.
Bina?
Very cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Long way to go, but it's fun. It's fun.
Right.
I mean,
So,
music
It is joy, and which is important, essential.
of
yes.
self, I guess. I don't know what
We
the
want,
world would be without music.
yes,
That's
I agree.
right.
I agree. So we want to hear you play more. That was really great. That was fun. That was fun.
Awesome. Well,
That was, yeah, I'm glad I spied it there. So, yep. Thank
That's
you, Eagle Eye. Thank you, Eagle Eye.
This is Lucy, by the way.
Ah,
Lucy.
Lucy.
That's a
Oh,
pretty guitar. Pretty.
oh.
She's
But you
got,
don't play loosey goosey though.
like, why I cannot get this in the right place. There we go.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like pearlized
Yeah.
mint
It's very,
green. Mint
very
green is
pretty.
my favorite color.
Ah,
Wow.
cool.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Oh, that was nice. That was really nice to hear. You know, I've heard other people that have just started on electric guitar and they play it. It sounds like the cats in the alley. You know, but
well,
it's
like
just
I
nice.
said, I have been trying to learn guitar for quite some time. So I've noodled
Succeeded.
around on it for a long time, but just
Yeah.
I don't know. I certainly don't know the music theory behind playing guitar, and that's one of the things I really want to learn. That is something that fascinates me so much about music. And it's interesting because I have always traditionally sort of despised math. I just don't. I'm not a math person. My brain does not work that way. And so much of music is math.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's so fascinating to me. And I have in the last like year or two, I've really found a total different appreciation for math. And I think it's so fascinating that when you know the math behind music, you can compose anything because
Yes.
you understand the pattern of how it works.
Yes.
It's fascinating to me.
Yes. So if you just shift your conception and your association with math as new, if you look at math as pattern and math as
Right.
balance.
I read something a few years ago. It was an article that someone had written who was a mathematician, and he wrote it about math, and it was geared toward people that don't like math.
Yeah.
And it completely changed my opinion on mathematics. It was so interesting.
Good. Yeah.
Math in nature and in space and in
Yeah.
Math is everywhere, and it's not what you think it is, you know.
Right. So association management is really powerful, and especially with the guitar, particularly, you know, or at least any musical instrument. But you know, most people they you know, they look at the chord and then, you know, which thing you're gonna pluck, and then they say, okay, this gets me this sound. But if you do it in reverse, hear the sound and then associate what goes with it. So that when you listening to what you want to hear, your body automatically puts the fingers in the hands in the right position. And do it in reverse. Hear the sound and then associate the particular handness to it. So when you hear a song, you hear Jimi Hendrix going, you can visualize where his hands are going to go.
Right.
And it's just a very simple association, but it's massively helpful, right? Yeah, very simple. But association management is really profound. And same thing with the math. You know, if you start seeing math as balance, as pattern, you know, as a mechanism, it shifts it. It's not that hard then, you know, it's a different logic to it. Yeah. It's a tool. It's a tool. Yeah. There's a lot of grace to math as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Especially the first little bits there. It's really nice. It's very nice. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Where were we last, Erica Jane?
Let's see. Let me get down here. So
I'm going to head off. I have an appointment. Have a good
Brilliant.
session.
You too.
Okay?
You too, Sue. Yes, you
See you
too.
guys.
You too. Oh,
Bye.
and then don't forget to write out that magical story.
Yeah. We'll do.
Yeah, that
All
was
right.
very magical, very powerful.
Thanks.
Oh, good. Beena's back. Brilliant. Brilliant. Bye bye. Bye bye. All right.
Bye.
So what? All right.